Welcome, Scorpio, to your Scorpio 2022 annual calendar year reading. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, for those of you who are stopping by for the first time. And it's great to meet you. I and the subscribers hope to see a lot more of you. Now, many people ask if I do private readings. The answer is yes. Check out the information that's in the description box below. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose I'm going to draw 12 cards, one card for each month of the year. And because this is something that needs to be kept within a reasonable time frame, we're going to go through them by giving you just the facts in relation to it, just the facts, Jack, for what the cards mean. The monthly reading is going to far more detail and depth and are very esoteric and spiritual, as the subscribers know. And so I encourage you to go into the monthly readings. You can do that, of course, by subscribing and it gets delivered to you. Or what you would do is just go to the playlist on my channel, because I keep the current month and the month before on there. And then as the calendar year moves along, as you would expect, I just delete the one that's below it. Let's stop for a moment and see where we are. January through to June. The Tower, the King of Coins, the Four of Cups, the Popess, the Moon, the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Cups, Temperance makes an appearance, good to see. What else is there through here? There's the Nine of Swords. Here is the Page of Coins. I'm glad there's between Temperance and the Page of Coins, that Nine of Swords. There's the Knight of Cups. Is that 3, 5? And finally this one, which is the King of Cups. Now, I might use my pen to point out some the paintings on these cards, a medieval sort of thing, really, really beautiful. And I might point out some of the interesting aspects of it with my pen. As you come down here, sit next to me, we'll have a good close look at these cards together while I do the reading for you. All right, I think you can see those. Now wow, you come out in January like a cannonball out of the cannon. Let's have a look at here. Now, the art on these cards is very important because it will unlock information and consciousness from your subconscious. So I'll point out some of the things which are to do with the art here. Now, look at this tower, well, with the foundations set in sand. The tower is made of 7 cubical stories, just like the Tower of Babel in the Old Testament or Hebrew Bible. Now, there are 3 doors here, 1, 2, 3. This first door up the top here, I think what that does is it represents faith, and the square door on the lower left here, I think that represents experience. Now, at the top of this obelisk here, the top of the tower, there is an obelisk which is poking out, emerging from the top of the tower. A stroke of solar lightning demolishes the top of the tower, and the mushroom cloud that expands evokes nuclear catastrophe. Satellites, bombs, television sets, antennas, and different things, they fall through the sky. A king falls on the left down here. At the bottom down here, there is a figure lying motionless, having been struck on the back of the neck by a brick. This is the Lord of the hosts of the mighty. The things changing in your life now, no doubt due to the New Year resolutions which you have made. Mars is the important planet and energy around here. There is far-reaching inner transformation for you at this time, plus the healing of old wounds. You really are letting the wounds and travails and problems of the past behind you as you move into this new year. The old is destroyed to make room for the new. There's a spiritual renewal here for you as well, and a great degree of self-knowledge. There is release. You are releasing things. Revelation, the breaking down of old forms or patterns. And in some respect, I think also that this month might be something of a calm after the storm of events in your life which have preceded this time. Let's have a look at the King of Coins. Well, this king is old and white-haired, and his rich cloak is embroidered with what look to me like thorny branches. You see these little aspects in there? They're like thorny branches there, and they illustrate what I think is the impossibility of maintaining worldly institutions. In his left hand is a compass. You know those things that you used in geometry when you were in high school there? That's his left hand there. And in his right hand here, sitting on his lap, is the phoenix of hope and resurrection. And also in his lap is a red sack full of gold coins. Now 7 open sacks around the throne at the bottom here. You see these sacks which are open up here? Well, what do they look like to me? They look like diamonds, gold rings. What else is there here? It looks like crowns, quartz crystals, pearls, gold coins, and some gold ingots. A lot of wealth. Now he is, for me, the Lord of the wild and fertile lands. Now I have to tell you that I'm getting a lot of Virgo and a lot of Leo around here. Now, why am I getting so much Virgo? Well, I suppose he's the Lord of the wild and fertile lands, and of course his lands here are well maintained and growing well. Well, I think I'm getting Virgo because the first 2 decans of Virgo are ruled by the Sun and Venus, respectively, and the Sun is required for crops, and the nurturing qualities of Venus only complement him. Now, these court cards, of course, can be male or female. It works for both, but I'll refer to them in the sex that they are depicted, but it applies to both. You get what I mean. Now, this is maybe a man of the land, but you'll be patient, a hard worker at this time, clever, very clever. You will also find that you'll be interested in financial investments of some time. Now, there's some work. You'll be working away here, you know, and you'll also be reaping from the harvest. Your work is well worth the effort if it is done in the service of personal growth, which it will be for you at this time. Let's have a look here to see what we have. There we go. Let's get a nice close look so you get to see the painting. What do we have here? We have what looks like, I would say, a mermaid. Look at her with her seaweed green hair, and she's sitting on top of a sea serpent, which I would say is old because it looks like the color of an old cicada. Now, following behind her is a young child holding a golden ribbon, and that child is sitting on a green serpent, the color of a newly emerged cicada. Now, in these things, what do you call these things, these cups? Are these amphoras? You ladies would know what they are. I don't know much about things, sadly. But I can tell you this, that there is a woman standing on a chair here. She has been frightened by a snake, a spider, and a mouse, and that is symbolic of the primitive and instinctive energy that lies beneath the psyche, ready to be released. Here is the god of erotic love, Eros, with his bow. Now down here is the perpetually drunken son of Pan, who is called Silenius. And down here, what we have is like, an old man crawling through the desert, dying and heading towards what can only be described as a mirage. This is for me the Lord of blended pleasure. Now what it is it's the moon in the 3rd decan of Cancer, that 12th to the 22nd of July. Well, in ordinary astrology, the moon rules Cancer, which is a real great strength of this card. But you know what I think there is here? I think the underlying message of this energy for you is that you want to be emotionally fulfilled, but in a deep way. In a deep way. but probably you're going about it the wrong way. So step back and see what you can do. Now, the moon in Cancer, well, the moon is associated with the principle of flux and change, and you might find that your emotional states may be shifting like the phases of the moon. But there is nevertheless here a great degree of love, tenderness, care, and emotional riches. Well, let's see what comes next, and it is this rather attractive woman. Let's have a look. The Popess. Let's have a look at you, Popess. Let's see what you have to tell us. Well, the slender young Popess gazes from her throne with serenity and wisdom. Her robes are dark blue, symbolizing feminine intuition, and a crescent moon crowns her tiara. Can you see it just up the top here? Yes, at the top of the thing, there's that crescent moon. See, the moon is very important for her here. Now, in her right hand is the Book of Life, and I can't help but see that inscribed on it is what is called the Tree of Life, which is familiar to those who study Kabbalistic mysticism. I'm not going to go into that now. Sometimes we touch on those in the monthly readings. Now, at her breast is a Maltese cross, and emblazoned on it is the face of a child. That is symbolic and refers to the legend of Pope Joan, who by legend was actually a female pope in charge of the Catholic Church. What she has here also is, on this column, there is a sphinx, a symbol of femininity, rising up this dark column, at the top of which is a mermaid being tempted with some fruit by a demon. And on the right column down here, this is fire and water mixed together with the drops coming down. Now, the checkered floor gives way to beautiful, lush nature. She is, for me, the priestess of the silver star. Now, the moon is here. As I said, the moon represents cycles and going with the flow of life for you at the moment. She is giving you access to your intuitive powers and healing. And do you know what you're going to do? You're going to have a real desire for independence. That is, to be able to express yourself, to do what you want without restriction from other people. Now, you'll have a great degree of inner equilibrium at this time because you've got increased self-confidence. You will be discovering your own truths. And it's a time for you also to speak with your spirit guides who are always with you. You understand that they do assist you with things. The more you accept yourself and share with others, the deeper the clarity of your perceptions will become. This is a great time of emotional stability for you as well. Let's have a look here now at the moon. The moon is everywhere for you. Deep, subconscious, hidden, below. What is it here? Now, there's obviously this huge crayfish coming out of this murky pond that's here below. Now, look at this dog, this violet-colored dog. That is Anubis. That was the ancient Egyptian god of the dead. Opposite it, in the silver color here, is a wolf howling at the moon. The moon itself is up here with masculine features. Now, I actually see the moon definitely as being feminine. If you go on my playlist, you'll see that I've established a thing called Astrology for Beginners, and look in there at the moon and the reasons why I say it's feminine. And there are two towers here as well. This one on top of it has the telescope of Galileo, and this one on top of it, looking up at the stars, is an ancient astrologer. Now, the astrology of this card, speaking of astrologers, is for me Neptune in Pisces with Venus exalted. And you might be asking yourself at this time, is it reality or is it an illusion? Pisces here. Well, Pisces is very much associated with the subconscious, with the emotions, intuition, and artistry. And this is actually the last of the major arcana to be given a zodiac sign by me. Now, Neptune in Pisces, well, Neptune's watery depths are associated with dreams, visions, and the imagination, which links it in very well, I think, with the qualities of the moon. I think what you might be doing is there's a period here, I think, when there might be some secrets which you uncover, you know. You could have some mental confusion because of disinformation which has been provided to you, but you're smart enough to understand that these things don't add up. There's a deception perhaps going in here. Now, I do think that you'll have increased psychic ability during this one. You may actually even have a psychic or a spiritual existence here. It is a time for you of burning off karma. And there is a struggle with you, with your subconscious. But this is leading to and crossing the threshold to new levels of consciousness. A really good time of the year for you. Look at all these court cards that you have. Here we have Queen of Swords, is it? Yes, it is. Okay, Queen of Swords. Well, here we have an elegant woman sitting on a high Gothic column. Her throne houses a raven at her left leg. Now, below her are sinister images, two witches that are on broomsticks, and a thing carried by black horses, almost like a march of Ku Klux Klan figures here as well. The Queen herself is in a twisted position. Her right arm with wiry fingers crosses her body to support a large sword. Look at those fingers on her there. And there's the sword that it's around. And on her sword arm is a snake bracelet. Now, what does she got? On the hilt of the sword are a swan, 3 coats of arms, and a crown with the symbols, I suppose, of the world. Her face is aristocratic, refined, and quite haughty, and a black net covers her head and hands. You see it coming down there and through there, and she is crowned with 2 crescent moons. You can't get away from the moons this year, can you? Now, she is the queen of the thrones of air. And what am I getting around here? I'm getting a lot of Virgo and a lot of Libra. Now, I think that her association with this Libra energy connects her to justice, so I think that you'll be getting justice for your claims and wishes during this thing. I think that this in particular, though, for you at this time is all about making clear decisions based on fact and fairness. Similar to the Queen herself, I would suggest. You will be graceful at this time, very perceptive, a keen observer, a subtle interpreter. I think you'll be intensely individualistic, and you'll be very confident and gracious. And I have to say this to you, you will exude a great degree of sexual magnetism during this period, which is going to ensnare a number of people. So you can deal with that, as I'm sure you will know how to. Now, what I think also is the time for you here is that you will be cutting through old masks and roles. Or more particularly, what you'll be doing is you'll be recognizing that you are using a mask or that you are playing a role, and you won't become identified with it, but you will use it like a costume or a suit to put on and then to pull it out whenever the occasion calls for it. You'll have a great degree of mental clarity. You'll be rational, very intellectual, I think, logical and objective. That's a great thing to have at that time of year, isn't it? Another court card down here coming through. Now this is a different energy. This is the Queen of Cups coming through here. Now, just looking at this card, it looks like there are three things floating on the water. There's a galleon, there's this shell, and there's a little tiny paper boat here. I don't know what that is. I think that the artist, using artistic license, has just thrown it in for the fun of it. Now, on the shell, well, here the Queen stands, and she actually, she looks to me actually as if she could well be a nun, but she stands in the same figure as Botticelli's Venus. The reason why I know that is that many years ago on Monday nights when I was a young man, I used to go to an art appreciation class, and I went there to meet women, because what I found was that about 85% of the attendees were women, and of the other 15% of the men, I was the only one that was straight. So I learned a lot about art, and a few other things as well, I suppose. Now here is this cup that she's holding here, which has got wings and the figures of a child on it. Now and her golden hair has come loose. She's got this heart on the top, and her blonde hair has come loose from her nun's veil, and it's blowing in the wind. Now, she's for me the queen of the thrones of waters. Now, the energy that I'm getting around here is very much that of Cancer and Gemini. Yeah, very much Cancer and Gemini. This is a woman who is very intuitive. So you're moving from this period of being very intellectual to relying on your intuition and your heart. Do you know your heart can see and process information that your mind doesn't even know exists? So follow your intuition at all times. Now, you will be an observer during this time, possibly quite dreamy and tranquil and poetic, kind, yet sort of passive. And again, there's this psychic possibility that I'm getting through here. Emotions are going to be shown openly. It's very good for motherhood. You're going to hear of motherhood or pregnancy during this time, and a great degree of emotional and personal integrity. I will say this though, this is a time of the year for you when you are going to be very much influenced by the people and the surroundings that you are in. So it's important that you remove yourself from negative people and negative surroundings to maintain that emotional and mental stability that's there. Deal with the idiots later on, but don't put up with fools at this particular time. Let's have a look. What do we have here? Hello, Temperance lady. What have you got to say? Oh, what a lovely drawing or painting here. Here we have what is clearly an angel pouring liquid from one vessel in her right hand, which is lunar, wouldn't you know that? Silver, which is feminine, and into the golden vessel here, which has the motif of a lion around it, and that is the male principle. Now, the mysteriously androgynous features of the face of this angel remind me very much of the painting of John the Baptist by Leonardo da Vinci. Now, on the forehead of the angel is a solar disk. The angel's wings really denote our chemical cleansing, I think. Now, on the left here is a flower that's wilting, and on the right here, that I'm pretty sure that is a depiction of the scene of the baptism of Jesus by John the Baptist, speaking of whom, and with this dove coming down upon it. Now, in the text, you'll find that scene in the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 3, verse 16, something like that. But it's not actually a dove that comes down. It actually speaks of the Spirit of God like a dove, because, of course, very difficult to depict or describe the intangible and the unknown. Even though she is androgynous by look, I call her the daughter of the reconcilers, the bringer forth of life. Now, this is talking about you having a combination of forces within you, realization, action that you take which is based on an accurate assessment of events, people, and facts in front of you. Now, you may well be thinking about economizing during this period. You'll be very good at management, and there is success after what have been, I think, probably some sort of complicated dealings leading up to this time. I'm also getting the feeling that you get out of something, or that you get away with something, that there is an escape of some description. Well, that's always good news, isn't it? It's a bonus whenever that happens. Very much about the unification of opposites, balance. There's interchange going on here with you. You'll have a quantum leap in the way that you look at yourself and the way that you look at the world, and your creative power will be at its highest. Let's have a look at this 9. Well, this is an interesting painting here, isn't it? Now, what we have are 9 swords that are neatly crossed in a grid. Now, veiled figures are seen on the hilts of the swords. See how these things are here with veils written over them? Yeah. And I would say that this tomb, which is in the foreground here, made out of red sandstone that we see there, that is the tomb of some monk, some holy monk. On the sides are scenes of decay. There's a stronger man dominating a weaker man here, and people here having succumbed to the plague by the look of it. Now, on the right of the tomb, there is a little fetal figure. Can you see that there? Little person rolled up like a fetus. And this figure to the left, look, I think that's actually the page, probably, of swords, although I notice now he's no longer young. He's actually like a really old man now. Now, the astrology of this card, this is often seen as a bad card, but in your spread, I don't think it is, because of the cards that came before it being Temperance, and this page of coins that's coming afterwards, and because it's sitting below this 4 of Cups. Because it's all how the cards are set out as to what goes on. But the astrology will also tell us something here. And it is Mars ruling the 2nd decan of Gemini, at 1st to the 11th of June. Now, the one-pointed nature of Mars doesn't sit well with the scattered energy of Gemini. What we have here then is maybe a tendency for ruminating on things. Remember, sometimes you think that things cannot be going your way, or that good things or bad things have happened, but, you know, Shakespeare wrote in Hamlet, Act 2, Scene 2, remember, there is nothing either good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. And it could well be. Well, I'll also say something about the 9 here. Now, 9, for me, mystically, has an association with the moon. So these could well be subconscious things that are lurking within you here. But the 9 also represents the cycle of returns in numerology. It's a loop. And with the suit of swords, this can take you into a negative thought loop every now and again. This may be the form of an internal debate that you are having with yourself. You might be afraid to make a definite choice and then denigrate yourself for your indecisiveness. Or it might be that you have made a choice about something and then you get buyer's remorse and torture yourself with a bad conscience, saying to yourself that you chose wrong. Well, you haven't done, you know. Everything passes and everything goes on. This is not the destination. It is the journey that life is about. This is not the goal. So remember, always just have fun. Here we have the Page of Coins, and see, this is just telling you that those thoughts that you had with that 9 of Swords, they're very quickly dissipated with this. Now, this to me looks like, from the architecture, it looks like Venice in the old days, and there's rubbish and litter strewn around here from a festival that's obviously been held and people are still dancing. The page himself is dressed up in military gear with a satchel thrown over his shoulder with books in it, and the musicians will know what type of a horn this is. Here is a big disc, the thing which is the triumph of Mercury. Now this big floppy hat he has here, which are emblazoned with coins, show him off to good effect as well. What can we say that he means for you? Could also be a she, of course. This is someone who is beautiful and strong, pregnant with life, generous, kind, and benevolent here. This is speaking very much of renewal, harmony. It's also talking to me for some reason about birth and pregnancy. So you, or somebody that you know you're going to find in this month of October, is pregnant or has become pregnant. This is a great degree of renewal and regeneration. Interestingly enough, this card is the lowest card in all the court cards. It's the lowest being the page and in the suit of coins. And what happens is that this person almost sends the energy all the way back up again to the King of Wands in renewal, regeneration, reincarnation. And that's what you'll be doing, is you'll be changing and adapting to circumstances that come around for you during this period. And you'll be finding that the way that you adapt is bringing you great fortune and success. Let's have a look at this. All these court cards here. Great to see. Who's this? Well, here we have now, I'll tell you who this reminds me of. Do you remember that figure in Russian history called Rasputin? Nicholas and Alexandra, you've probably heard of. They were the last members of the royal family. Nicholas II was the Tsar, and his wife Alexandra was the Tsarina. Rasputin, a monk, and here he's wearing the hat of the monks of Athos, but I don't think there's anything spiritual about him at all. He was said to be a counselor or advisor to the Tsarina Alexandra, although a number of people said he might have been doing more than just counseling her. Anyway, this figure is sitting astride a mule which is sneering at us as it walks across a stony path. Now, I don't think he's a spiritual person at all. I'm looking at these boots here, which suggest to me lawlessness, and these expensive clasps speak to me of wealth, and there is a cup here with the figure of Cupid on there. Yeah, and in the background here is the mob of angry peasants, probably out to get him, which they may well have done in the past, I don't recall. But nevertheless, what happens is that I think that I'm getting a lot of Scorpio around here and a lot of Libra. So you'll be subtle. Now, there may be some craft associated with you now. You'll be almost like an artist who on the surface seems calm, but that masks an intense passion that's below you. You will have wishes, desires, cravings at this time. A lot of physicality with you, a lot of sexuality with you, a lot of desire for the satisfaction of the senses of sight, of touch, of taste and smell. These are the things that are going to be with you at this time. And look, provided it's all done with consenting adults, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Well, that's probably good news, really, for people, isn't it? And finally, for December, here we have a Pope. Now, looking at his face, I would say that is Pope Leo X. That looks to me like the Cathedral of St. Peter's in the Vatican. This Pope is sitting here with the red and the yellow together, which signify power. And his what do you call this stuff, stockings or hose, are red and green with garters which are made of roses there. Now, in his right hand, he's holding, as a cup, what would, if you were to turn it over, be like the papal hat that popes wear. And in his left hand here, he is holding hands with an angel that is holding up for the Pope, like a Chinese umbrella to keep the sun off the Pope. And the angel's garb is blue and is decorated with seashells for the suit of cups. beneath us here, they look like different renderings or different attempts at or different drafts of the Mona Lisa that Leonardo da Vinci painted. He is the Lord of waves and waters, the King of the hosts of the sea. And what does he have to say? Well, I think this. You might find that you have a commitment issue. Now, whether someone has an issue making a commitment to you or you have an issue making a commitment to somebody else, I don't know. You'll be friendly. You'll be very attracted to excitement during this time. And you'll actually be quite sensitive, you know. I'm getting Aquarius and Pisces around it. This Aquarius energy is going to make you independent, but hard to pin down. But nevertheless, you'll be quite humanitarian in your outlook. And I'm getting Pisces energy here as well, which is going to make you sensitive and dreamlike. But it's a possibility that it could make you unreliable from time to time, so just be aware of that. It is necessary, I think, for you to surrender to your beloved ones. You'll have a great capacity for giving. You'll be reaching higher emotional planes. And because this might well be a year of spiritual renaissance for you, in a Renaissance deck, you could have increased spiritual relationship with the divine. Well, great year for you. That's the way it is for you this year. Well, I thought that was fascinating, didn't you? It looks like you're going to have a fantastic year ahead of you, probably your best year ever, if I'm any judge of these things. Oh, I think you've got everything going for you, and so you should have too. Now remember, I want to see you in the monthly readings, so don't miss out on those. They're far more in depth than what we've just done now. But until then, remember one thing, and remember it always, and it is that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next time. Until then, it's bye for now.